All right, here we go. Let's see. Let's see. I'm just gonna adjust some things on my screen. Make sure I got everybody. And happy Tuesday from Droney, New Jersey. There's a lot of drones going by, especially where I live. We're setting up a drone task force to investigate the drones. Uh, Quick housekeeping before we get started. I'm gonna turn this music off. Quick housekeeping before we get started talking about the 2025 Internet Marketing Plan. If you have questions, I'm going to default to muting everybody, but if you do have questions, just raise your hand or type them into the Q&A or the chat. I think everybody is allowed to use the chat. Let me just make sure that that is the case. Let's see. Everyone, yeah, everybody should be able to do that. Um, but if you have questions, type them into the chat and I'll see if I can see them. And if you want to be unmuted, we can unmute you too. So what we're going to do today is talk about some goal setting. We're going to talk about how you can use digital marketing to achieve those goals. And we will jump in at that with that in mind. So we're going to talk about the state of digital marketing in 2024, talk about setting goals and targets, how to use digital marketing to do that, of course. I want to talk about why having goals is important because I think it's missed often. So we'll explore that a little bit. And then we're going to talk about what a website ecosystem looks like. What are the components? How a content marketing plan, how you can create one that works. The importance of SEO. We'll talk about retargeting and Google business pages, etc. And just in case you don't know who I am Ryan Ross. I did 12 years in sales and marketing. I worked at Barron's and the FT. I work in marketing tech. I have a book called The Book on Digital Marketing for Independent Financial Advisors, helping people get known, right? All about how to become the best known advisor in your area. I'm also a member of NAFA, which is the National Association of Insurance and Financial Advisors, a couple other marketing groups as well, a couple coaching groups to help me increase or improve my services. I'd say this because I'm a big believer in what you surround yourself with is what you become. And I surround myself with these ideas of financial services and marketing. These are some of the companies I've worked with in the past, but now I'm specifically focused on independent financial advisors. And this focus, which I really encourage everybody to do, it allows me to just hone in on the biggest challenges that face independent financial advisors. And one of those, I believe, is discoverability, being found, becoming known, being that best known advisor in the area. And that's why I named the company this Independent Financial Advisor Marketing, right? The business is a full service digital marketing agency for independent financial advisors. I want to help 100 independent financial advisors double their AUM over the next 5 years. And so this is a part of that, right? I want to give you guys the information that you can use to do that, help you make great decisions. So let's just jump into this. I've talked with advisors over the years and I've read a lot of research, and I found out that there are a couple common problems that advisors have. Maybe they have a website, but it doesn't get a lot of traffic, right? And maybe some of these sound familiar. There's a lot of lead gen options out there. The quality is touch and go. Referrals, maybe you get referral business, but it can be inconsistent, right? Maybe you need content marketing, but you're not sure where to start. You find it difficult to measure your marketing efforts, right? There are a lot of different platforms out there as well, but you're not sure what to choose because there's so many different options, and the platforms are always changing. Maybe COVID also like tanked your business and you have yet to recover. So instead of that, maybe you feel better to have a steady client flow and a roster of happy clients, right? Scalable and predictable systems to get back to where you were before COVID. In order to get there, I think we need to get a good look at what reality is. And so let's talk about the digital marketplace, digital marketing in 2024. First thing is that private equity is driving a lot of huge investments. And what is happening is that because of this cash, advisors are becoming media companies, right? Um, this is the reality that we're operating in. It's really just good to know that this is what advisors are doing because they're realizing that that's where they're getting new business. Josh Brown is a really good example of this. He's a CEO at Reitholtz Wealth Management. He runs a, he runs an RIA, but he also has conferences and he has a huge blog and he just put out a book, right? Advisors are going to be doing this. So you need to be creating content so you can play in those same waters. What media companies also allow them to do is to find talent and find new clients. And a media company basically means that they know the operations to create media. Like I said, writing books, hosting events, they're becoming known, and also they're lowering their customer acquisition costs. Next thing is that AI, this generative and conversational AI, that's going to drive media creation and also lead gen. It's going to help you have more high quality conversations with your customers. It's also going to, I saw something from Jensen Huang, who's the chairman of NVIDIA. He's like, it's not going to take 50% of people's jobs. It's just going to make half of your job done 100% by AI. I thought that was very interesting. Also, federal agencies. We're going to see a lot of different changes from federal agencies in 2025 because of this Department of Governmental Efficiency. Their job is to try to make government more efficient, right? SEC is going to be a big target of that because you have all these government agencies that are making rules that are now unconstitutional. So we'll see a lot of different changes. This affects financial advisors because, if nothing else, for the testimonials. So that's going to be a big part of business in the future. So let's talk about the opportunities, right? Those, who knows if those are problems or issues, but let's talk about the opportunities for digital marketing in 2025. People are still searching for financial advice online. That line right there, that is trending up. We just got to capture that demand because if it's not you, it's going to be some finfluencer that is not qualified to offer advice. And that happens even after a referral happens, right? Maybe you get a referral from a friend, or maybe your potential client gets a referral and they want to look into you. They're going to go online and they're going to search. So you want to make sure that you can control that narrative. You show up in the best way. Content marketing is the best way to do this because it helps people get to know and like and trust you. And that's easy to do as long as you know where to go to create the content. I talked about AI is going to help us create more high quality conversations. That's just going to take off. I interviewed a founder of an AI prospecting company a couple weeks ago. I did a podcast about that, and they have a very cool method of helping people understand who their prospects should be. And these are things you're going to be able to take advantage of in 2025, a lot more. Next, these testimonials. 7% of advisors wanted to do testimonials last year. 35% wanted to do it this year. That's 5 times as many advisors. They're going to have a testimonial strategy while taking these agencies' regulations into consideration, but having those is a really strong way to develop more business. So what's the most important thing to think about in 2025? We got all these different opportunities. What should we really be focusing on? I think it's being strategic. And strategic means a simple long-term plan. That's a written goal that you look at every single day. It's a plan for getting people to know and like and trust you. And it also means making sure that your budget is competitive. A competitive marketing budget, according to Kitces, is between 9 and 10% of revenue. So keep that in mind when you're developing your budget, which we're going to do in a second. Next, you're going to want to make sure that you have a digital presence that supplements a physical presence. This means that when you meet somebody at a networking event, right? That's a physical presence. Or you go to a conference, that's a physical presence. They're going to do extra research on the back of that. Make sure that that digital presence supplements the physical presence. So what I want to do is I'm going to share this worksheet in the chat. Let's see if I can do this. Let's see. Yeah, I'm going to share this in the chat. You can go to the Google Drive and you'll see that I've created kind of questions for you to ask yourself in terms of what your goals should look like, right? We can talk about setting up a goal, and I'll talk about my own personal goal setting experience. When I was 25, I told myself I wanted to do an Ironman by the time I turned 30 years old. I didn't hit that mark, not because I didn't try. I just didn't realize how much work it would take, right? I had done 6 triathlons before I did my first Ironman, and at that point I was 31, so I almost got there. But my problem wasn't that I didn't. My problem was that I didn't realize how hard waking up at 4:30 and jumping into a pool was, or how long a 4-hour bike ride is going to take. It's actually about 5 hours. But I did realize that just setting the goal put me head and shoulders above everybody else. And now I've done like 16. And I can tell you that the secret is just doing the work on a daily basis, jumping into the pool, getting onto the bike. For you, it might be like making calls or putting out that LinkedIn post, putting the energy into getting your face seen. So the hard part is not the setting of the goal, it's setting aside the time to actually go through the work. And so, like, what's the difference between having a goal and really having a goal? Like a goal you're actually going to achieve. Yes, it means investing in the goal. Yes, it means buying the ticket and entering the race. But I think it actually starts somewhere else. And it starts in 1979. In 1979, there was a Harvard study that asked students what their goals were. Only 3% of students had a written goal and a plan to accomplish that goal. But 10 years later, the 3% who had a clear goal were, by an earnings perspective, 10 times more successful than the rest of the entire study together. What does writing goals down mean, right? This means that you are going to be much more successful because you have it in front of you all the time. Writing down the goals is so important. This is Greg LeMond. He won a bunch of cycling awards in the 70s and 80s, and he these are very simple things, right? In sports, you want to win, right? You want to win the Super Bowl. You want to win the World Series. You want to win the Stanley Cup, whatever. He just wanted to win these bike races. So he wrote it down and he looked at that every single day. So we got to be writing down these goals. You can use that Google Drive to write down your goals as well. You can download the PDF and follow along. I would write down your goals, make it AUM based, client numbers based. What is included in a good goal? Making sure it's written down and you have a plan. You need to set at a minimum 1 year goals, quarterly goals, and monthly goals. Got to have a stopping point to just say, like, how do we do? How do we do this month? How do we do this quarter? Making sure that you have everybody's heard of SMART goals. I think SMART goals are okay, but I learned about something more recently that's really, really interesting. And instead of SMART goals, they should be FAST goals. FAST means frequently discussed, ambitious in scope, specific, which means you got to use numbers and metrics, and then they need to be transparent. You want to make your goals public. If not to anybody else, just to you. Have it on the wall of your office saying, this is what we want to be doing. This is what we're doing. Maybe your goals are AUM based. Maybe it's number of clients based. Maybe it's average client net worth based. Maybe it's market share based, right? An important thing to think about here is maybe you're not a goal person. Maybe you're not a goal setter. But I think if you have a team, it will help your team know where to go. It helps them answer questions on their own. So that takes some work off of your shoulders. So having a goal is great for the team versus having it for just yourself. So consider that. Let's take a small example. This is a hypothetical example. We want to optimize around one simple goal. And those can be a lot of things. Like I said, AUM, new clients, bigger team. Simplest way to do this is by AUM. So we're going to start it there. Let's take this example. This advisor, their AUM is $100 million. They have a 1% fee model. They want to increase their AUM to 130 million. That's a 30% increase, and we'll get to that in a second. Their average client has $1 million in AUM. Their yearly revenue is 1 million and they want to get that to 1.3 million. How much is that monthly? That's 83% monthly, 83,000 monthly, 100 clients, right? That means 833 per client. And if you have a quarterly model, just divided by 3. Importantly, this delta is 25%. So this means that they need 2.5 clients per month based upon their 1 million AUM client in order to hit that delta. Maybe it's the same for you, but let's do a quick exercise to help you get really clear on these efforts. I sat down with the very talented folks at Google and I came up with a extremely comprehensive software solution to help you do your 2025 planning. And I was able to get a great discount on this for everybody on the webinar. I'm just kidding. This is a Google Sheet. We've got to keep this really simple because if things aren't simple, we'll never use them. So let me just put this in the chat as well. There we go. Oop. There's the Google Sheet. We can all get in there. Lead generation, target plan. Okay, so we can just break these things down into goals and metrics. Goals are what we're trying to hit. Metrics measure and explain the quality of the efforts to hit these goals. So we can type, I typed these in based upon the example that I have, but you can put in 2.5, 25, 250 million, whatever. You have 100 clients. You want to get there. Ooh, that'd be a lot of growth, but maybe you just want to do 50, right? 1% client fee. You want to double your growth. Let's say you want to do 40 million, right? Monthly revenue gap based upon these numbers and a 1% fee model. That's going to be 12.5 per month. Average client AUM stays there. Say it's 400K, right? Average client, what do you charge them per year? Let's say it's 6,000, right? This means, according to this math, you would need just over 2 clients per month, right? So let's say between 2 and 3 clients per month. Now let's look at the quality of the metrics, right? These are our conversion metrics. People going from a discovery call to a presentation. If you speak with 5 people before you actually get them to a presentation, it's going to be 5. But if it takes you 10 people, you want to make that 10. You want to get that number as low as possible, right? Because you want to get this conversion ratio as high as possible. So the number of times you speak with somebody and then you convert them into a presentation to a client call, that's the one you want to get as low as possible. So let's just make that 5. Now, when you have a presentation call with a client, say you're speaking with 3 people, if one of those people will actually close, that's going to be three people you're speaking with before you get a close. So that's a 33% presentation to client ratio. We want to get these numbers as low as possible in order to increase our conversion ratios. And this gives us an idea of how many actual engagements we have to do to initiate, to collect, if you will, before we hit our yearly goal. This breaks it down on a monthly basis. 31.25 engagements. So maybe that's a discovery call with a client, right? Before we actually get a client looking at before we land a client. What I've also done is I've broken down the budget based upon your yearly revenue. So let's say you have 250K projected revenue and your marketing budget should be about 9%. This is based upon Kitsy's data. I just want to pull that up because it's really important. Kitsy's marketing report. They do a really good job. Marketing. Okay, let's see if we can find this because it's really important. Just knowing what the competition is doing. Revenue share of marketing cost by practice size. Anybody below 250K, 11.2%. If you're 250 to 500K of revenue, you're going to want to jack that up to 13.4% as a leading indicator. How much money you're actually spending on marketing? 13.4%. So use that as a guideline as well. And I can put that into the chat too. So then what we're going to do is we're going to take these numbers. This spreadsheet, this is the budget allocation spreadsheet. This gives you an idea of what your monthly budget should be, but also how much you should be allocating to online marketing, offline marketing, referral business, etc., on a monthly basis. And this breaks it down by month as well. This further breaks it down by type of marketing that you're doing, right? Content marketing, SEO, PPC, etc. So now that we know what our metrics are and our goals are, we can talk about I'm going to go back to full screen here. We can talk about the hierarchy of influence, because what we want to be doing, the way to get more discovery calls, more proposal meetings, more client meetings is to create more awareness of what we do. If people aren't aware of what we do, we're never going to be able to compete. So the first step to do that is to generate engagements, increase those engagements. This is what I call the hierarchy of influence. At the very top, we can convert people from being not aware in our media impressions to being generally aware using social media and content marketing. Everybody that sees us through media, 3% of those people will probably go to the website. Now, from those people that go to the website to those to convert and download something, they get a lead magnet. We collect their information. That's about 5 to 10%. We want to get these numbers as high as possible, but these are realistic numbers. Then for the people that we get downloading a lead magnet, 10% of those people will become a discovery call. And 30% of the people, if our numbers are correct, I mean, the higher you can get this, the better, those will become clients. So this all starts with media impressions because media gets you known. Media is social media. It's not necessarily getting an op-ed in the Wall Street Journal, but that doesn't hurt. But it all starts with media impressions because what is the value of being known at all? I think this is a great story about Barron's. I used to work at Barron's and we'd host events. A lot of people would come because Barron's was very well known. And somebody asked, how did you guys land all these really good stories? And the guy just says, people pick up our calls. If you got a call from Barron's, would you pick it up? I'm guessing you would. If you got a call from the White House, would you pick it up? It depends on your politics. But the point is, we need to be known. And there's 3 ways to be known. First way to be known is get the right people to see our face. Second way to be known, this is a very simple formula, get the right people to see our face. And the third one, a little bit different, but pretty much rhymes, get the right people to see our face. How do we start doing this? Well, this is where we introduce the digital ecosystem. This is where everything comes from, right? This is how we generate more impressions. These are the elements of an optimized online presence. We got the website, easily the most critical component of the digital presence because that's our domain. That is our digital estate. This is where we create first-party data. This is where our content lives. This is where we can track everything. This is where people can connect with us. If you can't track things on your website, it's kind of like letting a stranger into your house. Content. Oop. There we go. Content helps us populate our site. We need to infuse our personality into this, right? You've got to show ourselves as the guide to the people that come into our estate. Content marketing, it provides us with a way to transfer knowledge from us, the guide, to the customer. That's the hero. It helps them know and like and trust us because they see our face, right? Then we're going to use SEO to drive organic traffic there. SEO basically helps us speak to search engines so that when people search for a specific term, maybe that's retirement fund, maybe that's income investing, ETFs, we're going to come up, right? And maybe you have a Google My Business listing. This all drives back to the website. You can run pay-per-click ads to push your results up the search page. The traffic's going to increase. Might not be what you want, but it does help us know what's working in terms of what the audience wants. And then we have social media. I mean, you're using content marketing, your content marketing to push out thought leadership on LinkedIn and Facebook, etc. This gets people to know you a little bit more. So these are our main traffic drivers. And these people come to the website and maybe they listen to a podcast or they read a blog or check out a lead magnet. What happens after that, though? Well, we're going to be collecting info. They've opted in, or maybe we bought a list of people, but we're putting pixels on our website to track people around the internet and show them our ads. I mean, what do we do with this info? We learn about people. We will learn about what they want, which is really good. Also, we can reach out for reviews. Search traffic comes from Google, and the better your reviews, the more likely you're going to get placed. They don't say that everywhere, but this is true. And if you're running ads, you're going to rank higher. And then we can analyze website traffic to inform our content creation. We can use emails as well to stay top of mind, get people to register for webinars, things like that. And we can use this info to retarget people on the site as well. We can build an audience of people who've been to the site, who've watched the videos, who've clicked their buttons, etc. And this becomes a big digital flywheel. And once you can build out that, you can build a business because it is predictable. You can scale it. But then we can use feedback that we got from our first party data to enhance our conversions because platforms want people to engage, and we can identify the people who have engaged, and we can tell those platforms to identify people that are most likely to engage with us, and we can get them to do that. That is retargeting. And the goal here is to increase our awareness of our brand. We want to get people down that funnel and help us get calls and get those 2 to 3 new clients per month. Get that number of engagements you're looking for. We want to get them to see our face. So the next step here, content marketing. Anybody know what this is? This is the Michelin Guide. And the Michelin Guide, it was designed to get people to drive more and wear down their tires. Fun fact. Content marketing is mostly non-paid marketing designed to get people aware of you and your product. It is unlimited free attention in the form of webinars and podcasts and social media and newsletters. Lives on your site, always has to drive back to your site, right? You can take a picture of yourself in Times Square and it just dies on your phone, or you can share that on your Instagram and it lives on forever. You got to be strategic about it or you're going to lose impressions. But what does strategic mean? That means you got to have a plan. And it's the difference between most financial advisors who post things on like holiday and they get no traffic to their website and the finfluencers who treat their content creation like a business. This is the biggest difference. And the biggest difference is planning out the year, making sure that you know exactly what you're going to be talking about throughout the year. AI makes this a lot easier to do. And in that Google Sheet, there's a template for what that year should look like. If you're ever curious, you can build out a content calendar. It would look something like this. Every piece is planned out. Metrics are tracked in one place. Knowing who is doing what, when it's posted, where it's posted, titles, descriptions, etc. And if you're taking your content market seriously, you need to think about long-term content creation and making a plan. But because if you don't, you're going to forget, or it's going to be hard and you won't see results immediately and you're going to give up. It's going to be slow going. Just like Warren Buffett's net worth, he knows this. Things take a long time. Content compounds though. So you need to start being strategic about it. You need to think long term, develop the content creation muscles because that once you get better at them, and that doesn't specifically mean you're planning it yourself, but once you get comfortable presenting in front of a group, creating webinars, knowing the content you want to be talking about, it becomes a lot easier to do this over the long term. It needs to be strategic. Hey, what if you have writer's block, right? I get writer's block all the time. I get writer's block, but I have written a book and I put my marketing book into ChatGPT because I'm like, what do we write about today? And it tells me what I wrote about already, right? Writer's block is not an excuse because ChatGPT exists. So just in summary, before we go to the website and conversion, be strategic about content marketing, plan it out, You create it first and then you edit it, and then use tech when you need to. Okay. All right. So we got people coming to the website. What do we need on the website? Right? Getting people to the website through social media, content creation, through email marketing, etc. Let's get people to convert on the website. So, what's the point of a website itself? I think that's a really good question. Everybody should ask themselves because if you're just adding so many different things to your website every week and you don't even, there's no reason behind it, think about what the point of your website is. It is your digital domain. It's always on. You can greet people there. You can tell them, hey, this is who you are because I am targeting you, right? You can send people there to do things. It's always on. You can track people, what they're doing, who comes, who leaves, what do they do there. And then you can engineer people to engage, schedule an appointment with you, get them to call you, get them to download something, make sure that they can engage. It's not going to be 100%, but the higher you can get that engagement, the better. What should your website have on it now? Well, I think you should highlight who your ideal customer is because they're coming to your website to solve a problem. They are the hero in their story, and you are the guide. So you should announce who they are to get their attention. And then you put yourself in there, right? Highlight your personality, where you come from, where you are. Then they will identify, oh, I know this guy, I know this lady. Make it easy to contact you. Put a little chat bot at the bottom of your website, put a content submission page or an address submission page. Make it easier for people to get in touch with you. And then also make sure that your thought leadership is on there because this creates backlinks and internal links, which is great for SEO, great for being found. It tells Google that you are a high authority source. Let's talk about the user experience on the website. When you go to a website and it takes 10 minutes to load, you're not going to be there. You're not going to go there. Your website needs to load fast. I'll tell you about how fast in a second. But it also needs to be mobile responsive because we've all been watching a football game at night and we're on our phone because Instagram is in our phone and we see an ad and we go there and we go to the website. And if it's not mobile responsive, we'll think the person is, you know, old and doesn't know how to work a website, right? Making it mobile responsive will increase engagement. We also got to make it visually appealing. Google's algorithms, they want to give people a good experience because when people search on Google and Google says, here, try this. If it's not a good experience, they're not going to go back to Google. Google wants people to go back to Google. So make it a good experience because the search engines see you better. What to aim for in terms of website metrics. You want a fast loading website. I'll put this here. Oop, you know what? I can't copy and paste that, but page speed, web dev. That should give you does it work? Let's see. That should work. It won't work. Hold on. Try one more time. Go to that website to test out your website's performance. Users need to spend 1 minute, 30 seconds or longer on the website. 3% of users should convert into at least a discovery call and ideally customers. No, it's not going to be customers, 3%. That's going to be people that are actually converting into downloading something that needs to be adjusted. Traffic from multiple sources also. It can't just be from email. It needs to be from organic traffic, like from Google or Facebook. It needs to be from your social accounts, or it needs to be paid traffic. Multiple sources. We want multiple sources here. All right, let's talk about some analytics and measurement now that we're talking about numbers. I want to talk about this by speaking about the difference between grapes and a glass of wine. What is the difference between grapes? Well, you take the grapes off, you mash them up, you put them in a bottle, you wait a year, 2 months, no, a year or 5 years, 10 years, and then you drink the wine. So the big difference is, it's very simple, work. If your work pays off at the end with wine because you get wine, right? But without tasting it, you won't be sure how good it is unless you can track the work. So we want to be able to track the work. In digital marketing, you won't know about where things are working or where they're failing unless you have analytics in place. Analytics help us know what works. When you put standard KPIs in place, you can identify how well the work you're doing is working. KPIs for a vineyard might be like, I don't know, time on a vine or the temperature outside or how long the wine was in the bottle. For a financial advisor, it might be how many social media posts are you putting out there? How much traffic are you getting to your website? How many people are looking at it versus scheduling an appointment? How many people are downloading your tripwire, your lead magnet, whatever? And then how many people are converting from an initial call to a client? That journey needs to quantify, this journey right here, it needs to quantify when or where they got an impression to when they became a client. Now, you might have a different process than this, but knowing the general steps is really important. And platforms can help quite a bit. This is really good. So they tell you what works, right? All platforms have an inherent interest in driving people to quality content that they can dwell on because when they get the recommendation, like I said, from Google or Facebook, they're more likely to go back to that and find more things. So to make sure that you are staying consistent in keeping standard KPIs and learning from them, do a weekly or monthly meeting to figure out what works best for you. This is one of the things that I use in your weekly, monthly meetings. Make sure you standardize the numbers that you analyze. They should all feed back to, am I getting new clients? And are those new clients aligned with my goals, right? Standardize the numbers. Also, make sure you know what you're reading, and always go to the same place every time with each of the measurables that you have. Because if you're constantly changing numbers, you're not going to know where you are. There's a great book. It's called EOS. I have it on my bookshelf. Oh, it's called Traction. Traction by Gino Wickman. And it talks about this thing called EOS and the Entrepreneur Operating System. It's a great framework for tracking your metrics. And once you identify the most valuable channels, you can double down on them. So let's talk about getting traffic to your website using SEO. All right, just want to make sure if there's any questions, just type them into the chat or raise your hand. Next, we're going to talk about SEO and paid ads and retargeting, and then some local service ads and testimonial stuff. But let me know if you have any questions. Okay. Okay. SEO is how websites talk to search engines. On-page SEO is how your content is structured to be read. Off-page SEO is like links from other sites like YouTube or Facebook or Instagram or Google or Wall Street Journal or whatever. Those are off-page SEO. And then technical SEO is how fast people can get to your site, how fast your site loads. For example, if you type in financial advisor, search volume of 300,000, by the way, search is still very relevant. If you type in financial advisor, Merrill Lynch is the first organic traffic, result. They have a domain rating of 79. So if you get something on their site, that increases your rating as well. They got a bunch of backlinks, a lot of keywords as well. They get 41,000 traffics. They get 41,000 hits per month. So that they have a great SEO team, I'm sure. And also because the internet moves really fast, you got to be staying up with this because websites age out. Because people change their expectations, those are changed by other products and services. They're impatient. Right now, we know we can get a car in 5 minutes by hailing an Uber. People have become very impatient. But I think content creation helps us stay ahead of the search engines. But it's more than just that, right? Why is it important to stay up to date with SEO advancements? I think it's because it helps you figure out why you're not getting any traffic. That's a great way to figure out what's not working. To figure out is your website up to date with the latest advances? make sure that if your website's not too old, if you have a slow load speed, less than 5 seconds is a long time, and if your blogs aren't being found by the search engines, make sure you're writing for Google and not for yourself. Okay, you can also do an SEO audit. Screaming Frog offers a free one, but that's limited to 500 URLs. If you have a huge website, that's probably not the right way to go about it, but if you have a smaller website, this will help a lot. Um, this also, Screaming Frog prioritizes technical SEO issues, but they're not going to tell you if your content isn't performing. That's going to be more of a Google Analytics explanation. Let's talk about local SEO. Local search engine optimization is helpful when we talk about supplementing referrals with a digital presence, right? People get a referral, they search the person. What do they see online? Do they see a 5-star rating or do they see nothing, right? Get a system set up to make sure you're asking people for reviews, but make sure that you fully understand the SEC's marketing rule because they are clamping down on testimonials that aren't within regulations. I'll talk about this in a second. And measuring yourself, it's going to help you understand what works and what isn't. And if you do local service ads or other paid ads, you'll also show up higher in those search results. On-site SEO, let's talk about that. You don't want to duplicate H1 tags because Google won't know what page you're trying to rank for. If you do Morristown retirement planning or Hackettstown wealth management, those are the H1 keywords, but only have one of those on your website. Let's talk about paid ads and retargeting. Paid media is targeting existing demand. The best way to get traffic to your website now is by using paid media. You're going to be being put in front of people when they're in the scope of purchase. That's why it's more expensive, right? Those results are based on intent and people searching for something right now, so their interest is high. They're warm. They have a need right now, right? Alternatively, social media. This is for generating demand. People are scrolling, they're just seeing so many ads. So we need to build audience on the website. And you can build an audience using website traffic, or you can be posting a bunch of content or video, seeing who is engaging, and then retargeting those people. This is where you create content at just different levels of the funnel to speak to people in different buying stages. And let's look at social media versus search. Example of this, websites at the center of it all, paid ads coming from Google and Facebook. You're making content, you're posting on social. That's driving some traffic too. This is generating first-party data. That gets retargeting going. And then this would just be a direct call to action, right? Regular social media is all about offering value, right? Offering these, oh, hey, I did the thinking for you, right? You didn't have to think about that. I offered that up. That's a jab. This is the right hook, right? Retargeting is the right hook. Do this now. That's what you're telling people when you do retargeting. Sign up for the seminar, sign up for the webinar, book a call with us. That's what retargeting does. They showed interest, and so we need to double down on them. And we can enhance those conversions with first-party data. And you can make custom audiences based on website visits. You need to have enough traffic, but you can make custom audiences based on people that have watched your videos, customer lists, etc. You need at least 1,000 people on the list. And it takes time to get this up and running and learning what people are engaging with. But once you do that, you can be much smarter about the content you're putting out to drive people down the funnel efficiently and reduce your customer acquisition cost. If you want to do some very targeted local traffic, local service ads, they're a great way to do that. You search for a financial advisor near me. This thing comes up at the very top. These are Google guaranteed results, also called local service ads. It shifts all of the results up to the top because people are they track phone calls. Google tracks the phone calls of people. They put their stamp of approval because they want to make sure that the people that are watching or that are searching for it have quality options, right? They want to make sure that you're legit because they want to stand by this guaranteed. If you drop the ball or you have screwed up in the past, they're going to cover the cost of service up to $2,000. Like I said, they're putting their name on the line to represent your organization, and it's really important to them to make sure that they're putting good quality companies up. They don't want to. They want to make sure they're putting quality companies up. So this is what it looks like. It's shifted the dynamics. All of the other um, content is down here, but you can pay to be at the top. That's what paid ads does. We can talk about the ranking, but I want to get to reviews and reputations really quick because we're at 245. Testimonials and the SEC. The SEC's marketing rule has opened up the gates for advertisers to be able to get reviews, which is wonderful, right? But you got to do it right. Don't pay somebody to do this. Don't pay a client to give you a testimonial. Make it a current client. There's a big difference between a testimonial and an endorsement. Know the difference. Also, talk about any material conflicts of interest. And if you get a testimonial versus an endorsement, a testimonial is for a current client, an endorsement is for a former client. Make sure you're stating any compensation. Otherwise, you probably get fined. Okay, so what to do next? Set up your goals. Know the numbers. Use the worksheet I gave you to make sure you know what the numbers are for the year. Set up your weekly, monthly, quarterly meetings. Make sure you get your website squared away. Make sure you create a content strategy. Have local service, or if you're interested in doing local service ads, explore that, right? Make sure you have analytics and measurements set up, and then create these reputation campaigns. Any questions? Put them in the chat. But if not, I'm going to give everybody 13 minutes back. If you're interested in having me help you, let me know. You can go to my website and schedule a meeting where I can analyze your content marketing and help you get this set up. Happy to do it. All right. All right. Thanks, Bruce. I'll see everybody in the next webinar. We're going to be doing one on SEO. There's going to be one on AI coming in 2025. Hope everybody has a good holiday. Reach out to me if you have any questions. End this. Adios.